gentlemen, the future of work now, for you to fit into this future of work, where unemployability is even more serious than unemployment, where certificates don't certify anything, but personal qualities count. We're governed by ICT, versatility, and so on. The type of skills you need now from my work is not from a textbook, unless you are reading my own textbook. They are in 3 categories, the type of skill you have to acquire these days. The one we talk about are the hard skills. You know mathematics, you know geography, that is hard skills. You can write a reasoned essay, that is hard skill.
How somebody in physics will work with an ethnographer in anthropology, will work with somebody in theology around ethics, will work with somebody in biology around the issues of cloning. All of these are the things we'll be facing in the next couple of years. We are already seeing the seeds of these changes embodied in the forces unleashed by globalization. And the pace and the volume of the innovations are astounding and are transforming work and leisure, learning, teaching, research, books, and classrooms. I never knew how to use e-books very well and iBooks. I thought I couldn't underline them because I underline books. But my daughter showed me how to actually mark e-books. So there's nothing in the hard copy books that you don't have in the e-books.
I am Mama PedaL, and so when you get tired of pedaling and you want some inspirational words, find me and you'll not go wrong. So I'm not going to ask you to clap for us. We will clap for ourselves so that we can initiate you in the PedaL movement.
So we are live from the International Conference Center at the University of Ibadan, where we are hosting the Pedagogical Leadership in Africa. And this is brought to you by PASGA, empowered by the Association of African Universities. We just finished the official opening, and we want to seek the views of participants, especially their outcomes and whatever they would want to take home to better African higher education. And we are privileged to have one of the facilitators, and we want to have a brief chat with him so that he shares with us what his expectations are and what participants would gain out of this session. You are welcome to AAU Talks.
Thank you so much, Sam. Okay, my name is Said Walidu. I teach at the University of Ghana. And I've been involved with PASGA for a couple of years, I think since 2013, in this kind of innovative teaching and learning processes. I think basically, if you look at the whole concept of PedaL, it's actually designed to change the way teachers teach at higher education and the way learners or students learn at higher education. So it's it's made up of innovative pedagogical delivery tools and methods that now make the students the focus and center of learning rather than the lecturer or the teacher. It is more about participation, and it is more about understanding the needs and then the challenges that adult learners face and factoring these needs and challenges into the delivery components. So at this particular level of delivery, you are now involving more of the students in both the planning, in the delivery, and then the benefit of the session. So basically, we are looking at models that include hidden curriculum. Teaching is not just what you say, but the way you appear, the way you create the enabling environment, and what you say and what you don't say. It's all part of the teaching and learning processes. We are also looking at using innovative tools like e-cases and then technology-enhanced learning. We are also looking at constructive alignment and several pedagogical leadership. Even when you are teaching, there's a little bit of element of leadership in the way you teach and the way you deliver. So when you bring all these things together, you are now bringing a very innovative new way of delivering content to your participants. And then the participants are also part of this whole process of design and learning environment. So it makes it more enhancing, more participative, more analytical, and more innovative compared to what we used to do in the past.
Okay. Very well. And so, can you give us the outcome? What should participants expect from you, and what do you think will be the take-homes as they go back to their universities?
So basically, it's about restructuring the learning process so that we are now redefining the role of the lecturer or the teacher, and then the role of the student in the learning process. I think when we're looking at the preliminary in the preliminary session, one of the keynote speakers said that they are no longer employment, but there are a lot of jobs up there. It's basically there are no jobs, but there's work. It's basically the kind of tools that you give to the student to be able to come out and become independent and self-sufficient, and will not rely on government to be able to employ them. So at the end of this session, I expect lecturers and teachers that are going to be the beneficiary of these projects to learn new ways of delivering content, especially including the use of technology in the way we deliver content. And that is going to lessen the burden that they used to carry in the past. In the past, the teacher was the embodiment of everything. He just come and speak, and then the student obediently learn. That placed so much burden on the teacher. Now the teacher is now going to involve the student, and that's going to lessen the burden on him. We are going to bring new ways of doing things and of delivering content to the teacher. That's going to make him a better teacher compared to the way he was in the past. It's also going to help the student to get more involved in the teaching and learning processes, and the student is now going to do most of the work that the teacher used to do. So at the end of the day, the teacher is just a facilitator of the delivery of content rather than an embodiment of all the knowledge. So it's going to be a kind of burden sharing, a kind of innovative learning processes, and at the end of the day, it's going to engender the way we formulate policy, the way we empower students to be able to become independent and do things on their own. So broadly, I think we are going to take Africa by storm, and a whole lot of innovation in teaching is going to occur.
All right, so let's look at the models. I know we have about 6 sub-themes or models that we'll be looking at. Can you take us through one after the other, and then how the 6 come together to tell the full picture?
So I know we have hidden curriculum, we have education and society, pedagogical leadership, we have technology enhanced learning, constructive alignment, and I can't remember the last one actually. But if you look, education and foundation, or educational foundation. If you look at all these things, these subjects, they are unique in their own respect. But when you bring them together, they form a holistic picture. So even in our delivery of the content, we are going to emphasize the interconnectivity of these specific individual models. And they feed into each other, from the design, the conceptualization of the teaching process, the teaching materials that we used to teach, both the course outline, the case studies, the electronic presentations, the PowerPoint or the slides that we used to deliver, to the interactive process between the lecturer and then the student, and then the outcome that follows from using the best interactive processes. So it's a kind of linked up to each other. And even the leadership skills that you exhibit when you are delivering content is also brought to bear. Collegiality, how lecturers relate to each other within the teaching and then the non-teaching environments, the relationship between the teacher and then the student, and then all those things come into play when you are delivering a content. So I think it's specific models, but they are linked into each other in terms of delivery, in terms of course, and in terms of effect. So if you are able to bring all this together, at the end of the day, we are producing the kind of leadership in higher education as in regards to both the student and then the teacher. And at the end of the day, we are going to do things better than we used to do in the past.
Thank you very much. We'll come to you again after the entire sessions to know the learning outcomes and what really happened during the 6 modules, and then what participants are actually taking home. So thank you so much for your time. We wish you all the best. Awesome.
Thank you, Sam.
Great. All right. All right, so we are still on our one-on-one sessions with our participants. We want to find out from them what their expectations are and what will be the take-home after this 8-day training. And I'm privileged to have 3 beautiful academics just behind me, and I want to speak with them. First of all, you tell us your name, your department, and then your university.
Okay, my name is Shirley Ejo. I'm from the Department of Human Nutrition, University of Ibadan.
Adeola Olajide is my name, Department of Agricultural Economics, University of Ibadan.
Oluwafumilaya Adeleye is my name, Department of Animal Science, University of Ibadan.
Okay, so I believe that you have been teaching for more than 5 years or 10 years?
Yeah.
Okay, and so you are very familiar with the classroom teaching and learning situation. Why do we think we need pedagogical leadership in Africa in such a time like this?
Well, I think it's important because you want to be more effective. Number two, we want to ensure that we have similar approaches and we can deliver the quality that is expected in the society. And particularly for the University of Ibadan, it's the first and the best and we want to retain it. So it's actually important that University of Ibadan also takes the leadership in that direction for Nigeria and for Africa. Thank you.
So you have been teaching. What are the challenges that you've seen in the classroom with regards to teaching and learning that this training will be very much beneficial?
Okay, over the years I've been teaching, I think one of the challenges with teaching is, well, you get into exams and you find out that the students have not learned what you thought they had learned. So I'm here to learn how to go about it, to make sure that it's actually a learning process, both for the students and I. And I hope that I'll be able to learn a bit more about technologies and innovations that are currently used. And so that students that come out of the University of Ibadan would be at par with their colleagues all over the world based on improved teaching methods that we would adopt from this training.
So what will be your greatest learning outcome of this training? How will this training make you a better teacher? And how will it also make your student better student?
Okay, well, for me, learning from those who will be here, because I'm sure we'll share experiences here, and then learning new methods and seeing how maybe some of the methods I've used before, how to apply them in a new way and in a better way to make our students learn better. And one thing I've learned even from the opening is learning should continue beyond the classroom. It shouldn't end there. So when the student leaves the class, they're still talking about it. The experience stays with them. So experiential learning, hands-on learning, and being able to meet the need of each person, because each person is different, each student is different. The learning process is maybe fast for one, slow for the other, but how to harmonize this and get the best out of all of them, irrespective of their ways of learning, will be one thing I would like to.
Thank you very much. I'll also be following up after the training and know what exactly you've learned and how you will transform pedagogical leadership in Africa. All right, thank you, and we appreciate the time. All right.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, what can we give as a gift to the guest lecturer of today? What is commensurate with that delivery of messaging? But we just must give a token of our love in appreciation of that lucid presentation. Therefore, on behalf of the Provost College of Medicine, sorry, you can understand me because my background is College of Medicine. Sorry about that. On behalf of Provost Postgraduate College, University of Ibadan, we present to Professor Tade Akin-Aino, the Executive Director, Partnership for African Social and Governance Research, Nairobi, Kenya. Our own Professor Aino, the 77th Postgraduate College Interdisciplinary Research Discourse Lecturer on this day, Tuesday, 21st May, 2019. We say we appreciate you a lot, and we say God bless you, sir. And we also have this token. Our own elder statesman was saying that is it agbada and a cap to go with it on a Saturday. But whatever is in this bag, just know that it's with all the love from University of Ibadan. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we are still continuing our interview sessions, and we are privileged to have one of the key facilitators to share with us why do we need pedagogical leadership in Africa in such a time like this, and also the expectations and outcomes of this training. Now, Prof, you are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great. We are privileged to have you once again, especially knowing how long you've been in the university settings. But we want you to share with us who you are and the institution you represent.
Okay, so I'm Professor Esther Sechi-Dawson from the University of Ghana, Legon. And I got into this PedaL project maybe I think a year and a half ago, when I was Director for Academic Quality Assurance at the University of Ghana. And I've become one of the key facilitators for the program. And I think that at this point in Africa's development, higher education has taken another turn. And we cannot continue to educate the future of Africa in the same way that was done maybe 70, 50, 60, 70 years ago, because things have drastically changed. Information availability is so much that the teacher is no longer the repository of knowledge. So it's important that as educators, lecturers, whoever we are, that we upgrade our skills. We cannot rest with the same skills that we started with. For example, when I started teaching maybe 30-something years ago, which was 1987, so let's say about 32 years ago, our teaching was very different. Access to computers was minimal, and all of that was very different. But now we have technology available, and we need to be able to use technology to enhance what we do, so that we bring up the young ones who are coming, we introduce them to the new way of doing things, because they should be able to be knowledge seekers, and not just knowledge seekers, but they should also be able to be critical thinkers and to know what they need to do with the knowledge they have. So if we don't upgrade our skills as those who are interacting with them, we'll be shortchanging the next generation. For me, that's what I see.
Okay. Yeah. Great. This is very important, and I know this is not the first session. How are we ensuring as PASGA that this training will continue to get all African academics abreast with the current teaching skills and methods and improving pedagogical leadership in Africa?
Okay. One of the ways in which this is being done is to use the cascading approach. So basically, we are doing it more like a trainer of trainers. And we are hoping that if universities buy into it, if the top management of universities buy in to the program and to what is going on, there will be motivation. They will look for ways to motivate lecturers who are using innovative approaches to teaching, and also use those people to help the other lecturers to also think of how best they can also use the innovative approaches. So it's more of a cascading effect. Start with a certain critical mass, and the important thing is for every university to be able to train a critical mass of personnel who can then continue the training even after the project ends.
Okay. So what are the models that will be treated during the 8-day period?
There is something on pedagogical leadership as its own. There's something on theories of learning, on curriculum design, because those are the base. We need a certain base to know what you need to do. So the curriculum design and all of it's one of the basic things that we are going to do. How people need to know the objectives of what you're teaching. What are the outcomes you expect? And this is what we are lacking. You know, lecturers sometimes, nobody teaches you how to teach. And so you use all the old approaches, you know. So you think, let me just read my notes and or my textbook, go into the classroom and pour what I know, without thinking of what do I want them to know? What are the things that are pertinent? How would they even learn? You know, we are not thinking about how are the students learning? What do we do to motivate them to learn? So these are some of the things, and we'll be talking about also technology enhanced learning, how to use technology in various ways. There are some lecturers who, for example, have no idea how to come up with a good PowerPoint presentation slide for their students or for other presentations. Those are some of the things we are going to be using, how to use the Google Sites and all of that, how to embed maybe some video into your teaching and all of that. So that's some of that, the technology end. And then we'll be also treating innovative assessments. How do we assess our students in various ways? To move away from the idea of thinking that assessment is just an exam. assessment is not exam. We want to assess their learning. And so we'll be treating how to do assessment for learning, not assessment of learning, but assessment for learning, which will help the students also, continually improve upon their learning. And then you, the lecturer, you also have a feedback as to how they are picking up what you are teaching them. Yeah, so
Thank you very much. So finally, what should the entire Africa expect from PASGA in terms of pedagogical leadership?
I think we should see a new wave of teaching, a new wave of educating our students. But I always say that limiting it only to the university level is not very helpful, because the students come after maybe 12 to 14, 15 years of having been schooled in a particular way. And so the 2-3 years, 4 years that they are with you, in trying to make that drastic change, it's sometimes very difficult for the students also. So we need actually not just to concentrate on the university level, but to go down from basic all the way, in the way in which teaching is being approached. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prof. We will come to you after the training to find out the real outcomes that participants may have picked out of it. We are so grateful for your time. Welcome to AAU TV, and we are still continuing our second day streaming for the Pedagogical Leadership Workshop or Training, which is organized by PASGA, and we are live from the University of Ibadan International Conference Center. Yesterday was amazing. We had official opening, and we did the parallel sessions as well, where we treated 6 different topics on pedagogical leadership in Africa. We looked at the educational foundation, we looked at enhancing teaching using ICT or technological resources, and other key topics as well. Today we are continuing with the second day streaming, and we'll be interviewing academics, we'll be interviewing facilitators, we'll be interviewing participants of what it takes to be part of this training and the expectations and the take-homes right after this training, and how it will impact or affect teaching and learning in African higher education. Join us and enjoy the streaming.
Hello there, and welcome to AAU TV, where we are coming to you live from the University of Ibadan in Nigeria. We are here covering the Pedagogical Leadership in Africa Training Workshop organized by PASGA. And we have been in some training sessions, and I have with me here a resource person who just moderated a module. Please, Prof, welcome to AAU TV. Okay, Prof, thank you very much for facilitating this module this morning. Can you throw more light about the module?
Yeah, the module is about innovative assessment. We are introducing participants to innovative ways of assessing their students more innovatively. Usually find their lecturers complain of the time they use even for marking, but we're telling them there are better ways of reducing that time, and even assessment, the other techniques which can be done digitally, which are more economical. Yeah, that's what we are doing with this group.
Okay, so you are using a digital means to help them to assess their students.
Yeah, both manually and digitally. We are introducing the techniques which they are not used to. Yeah, and which we think are very innovative.
Okay, do you think that the participants are getting along with what you are doing so far?
Yeah, they are actually very interested, and participation is very high. They are working in groups, and all, I think, are participating because they see the need to use what we are conveying to them.
Okay, so what do you expect to be the success rate of this module that you are facilitating?
Now, the success rate, I think, is going very high. You can judge from the participation of the learners. Yeah.
Okay, so how will you monitor what the participants will be doing in their home universities when they get back?
This is a blended program. After the face-to-face meeting here, they will continue to work online, and we shall be assessing their progress online. They send them to resource persons, and we assess and communicate, give them feedback on what they have done.
Thank you very much, Prof, for the wonderful work that you are doing for Africa. God bless you, and wish you the best in all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have with me a professor who just facilitated a module.
Thank you very much. I'm happy that I've had the opportunity to throw more light on what is going on.
Okay, please can you introduce yourself and then throw more light on what you just facilitated?
My name is Professor Esther Sechi-Dawson, and I'm from the University of Ghana, Legon. I just facilitated the session on innovative assessment. That session is actually in 3 parts, and we've just finished one part of it, introducing the participants to the idea of being innovative in the way they do their assessments. Assessment, as we know, most people think of assessment as an exam. But what we are saying is that assessment is not just an exam. Assessment is supposed to help the students in their learning. So the students know where their shortcomings are, and you have to give them feedback. So the thinking is, what we are doing is stressing on what we call assessment for learning. Not assessment of learning, but assessment for learning, which means it has to be done continuously during the program so that students are given a feedback. It helps them understand where they are, what their shortcomings are. You give them a feedback to help them improve on their learning before they get to the end of the semester when they will do their end of semester exam.
Okay. Is this approach different from what pertains in our universities?
Yes, for most times there are lots of challenges. So one of the things that we did was to ask participants, tell us, what is your major challenge when it comes to exam assessment, running tests, etc. And for this group, they said time. They just don't have enough time to grade, to be able to do continuous assessment all the time because of the numbers, and student numbers also is part of it. So it influences the way we are doing our assessments. And so most people are not able to do what we will term the continuous assessment, where it involves a lot more. So we are bringing to their mind the fact that when they think of a continuous assessment, they should not think that it's only writing a test.
Okay.
That's because most people think it's only about writing tests. But we are saying that innovative assessments include finding out right from the beginning, what do they know? What don't they know? So that you help them, you direct your teaching towards that way. Asking them questions in class is part of assessment. Giving them assignments to do, teamwork, all of that, using group work to do assignments is part of assessment. Okay. And all of those things we need to build up on that. And those are the ones that can help them learn. Okay. Because they will see when they make mistakes, you correct them. Okay. So we are not saying that don't limit. What pertains in most universities now is limiting what they will call assessment to end of semester exam, mid-semester exam, and end of semester exam. Okay. And not concentrating too much on continuously assessing them to help them improve before they get to the end of the semester.
Good, thank you. So from your observation of the participants, do you think they are getting along with your innovation?
Yes, they were very enthusiastic. I could see from their reaction. There are some who understand what is going. There are some too who it looks like, wow, this is an exceptional learning moment. This is something new it's being brought into my mind. I've not really thought about it. And there are some who also is like, yes, this is confirming what I'm trying to do. Right. So I really think that they are going to take it on board and they will be able to use it.
Okay. How will you monitor their progress when they go back to their universities?
This whole workshop or the training program is supposed to be at a blended kind of thing. So we'll set them some assessments and assignments to do, to upload something on the Moodle platform that has been created for the PedaL project. So through that, we'll be able to give them a feedback. Because when they upload, we look at it, then we give them comments.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Professor Sechi-Dawson, and we wish you the best in your other modules that you facilitate. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have just seen a session being moderated by a resource person who will introduce herself and her session. Welcome, madam.
Thank you.
I'll hold it.
I am Professor Harriet Mutonyi from Uganda Matters University, and I am a facilitator on the Pedagogical Leadership for Africa program. I've just run a session looking at education and society using a simulation.
Okay, can you throw more light about the content of what you just moderated?
The content is about looking at how society and education are interlinked and how we can look at what we are doing today that can help transform society and what is happening in society that can help us transform how we do education at universities.
Is this not being done in universities already?
Not necessarily the kind of engagement that we are trying to look at. People to become reflexive in their practice. Because nowadays there are all these questions of unemployment and student behavior, and sometimes we may not really take time to not look at how they are impacting what we are doing, because we have been socialized to just deliver whatever we have been given. But we are trying to challenge ourselves and say, let's be reflexive. How do we change what we are thinking? How do we change how we are doing education at universities to address some of the society issues? Instead of ignoring them, we are making them now the forefront of every plan that we have when we are going to teach.
Okay, how did the participants get along with this new module?
Yeah, at first we had to come up with ways of first uncovering what it is that they take as normal. And then when we try to challenge them, how does it affect others? Then they began to say, oh, I think there is need actually to reflect on this and pay attention to it. And I think it will help for the betterment, because the society has changed. Education has also to change. And we need to address the issues with a very creative way of doing it, by bringing those society issues, making the participants engage in them, see how they feel. So when they get emotively connected to it, they're able to think of how do they break from that circle.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so do you think that when they get back to their various institutions, they are going to be trainers or trainers of trainees in their institutions?
Yes, we have a two approach. There are those who are just taking baby steps to change their own practice. Okay. But we are also looking at those people who want to be change makers. Right. So everyone is not a change maker, but we are looking for those change makers who know that now they can take the umbrella and run with it to reach out to others.
Okay, how will you monitor the progress of those who've just trained?
We have come up with a learning platform in which they are all putting their information, trying to say, this is what I want to work on, and I need this kind of help from the facilitators. So we have given them all access to that platform, and they will be uploading and we shall be giving feedback. So that is the best way we have come up with, to just say, let us see what it is that they are picking out and how are they progressing throughout. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prof, for this interview. I have with me a resource person who just facilitated a module, and I would like her to tell me more about the module. But before then, let her introduce herself.
My name is Susan Kilonzo. I teach at Maseno University, Kenya.
Okay, Madam Susan, Prof. Susan, can you tell us a bit about the module you just facilitated this morning?
We were doing educational foundations and learning theories. And this is a module that brings real-life experience into the classroom environment so that the participants or the learners can know how to use this exercise within their classes.
Okay, what is different with this module from what pertains in our universities?
I think most of the time we take things for granted. For instance, the things that we experience every day out there in the society, and we fail to integrate some of these things within the classroom environment. So what the module tries to do is to help the participants who are lecturers know how to use daily experiences to integrate learning ways or ways in which learners can acquire more knowledge within the classroom environment.
Do the module actually engage the participants?
I think in every bit of it, from the very beginning to the very end, the participants are engaged, because the first exercise that we do is just to ask them to list things that people say about them that are either true or not true. And the moment you engage a participant or a student to start writing even from the very beginning, then they know they are likely to use the exercise during the learning period, and so they begin to be engaged. Beyond that is the use of the flight. We used a plane, and this is the real life experience
we simulated the Ethiopian Airlines experience, the flight that just crashed not too long ago within this classroom environment. And participants are able to experience like real life things that are happening out there, and we bring it to the classroom environment so that they can relate to it. And what we were doing is that we were trying to help the participants understand the interconnection between education and society. And so when we simulated this particular exercise, what we asked them to do is to save people within the plane. And the reason why we asked them to do this is to make them think through their biases. What is it that makes them think that an MP should not be saved, but an expectant mother should be saved? Yeah.
Okay, so what do you expect them to do when they go back to their institutions?
Oh, well, we have asked them questions around what they have experienced in the learning process during that particular module. And what they are saying that this is something that is really doable, because the fact of the matter is that we have so many experiences that we come with from outside the classroom that we can integrate into our courses. And they say that it is easy to integrate these things within the courses.
Okay. How will you monitor their progress when they go back to their institutions?
We do have a platform. PASGA runs a platform called Moodle. And within Moodle, this is where participants interact. There is a discussion forum. But beyond that, there are certain assignments that they've been given. Like they have to write their own teaching philosophies, and they have to upload their old course outlines and their new course outlines. So then we are able to monitor and see whether there is any change that is taking place.
Okay. Finally, how do you expect to scale up this module or this training to the rest of Africa?
If you notice, there is about 59 or 60 facilitators. And there's a reason why this body of facilitators is growing every other day. The reason is that we want to reach out to every corner of the continent in a way that we have many people that can transmit these resources that we are getting that can help our students learn more in every part of the continent. And so, given the many number of facilitators that we have, we think that it is possible to reach as many people as possible.
Thank you very much, Madam Susan, and God bless you, and wish you the best in other sessions.
Thank you.
Madam, please, can you introduce yourself and your institution?
I'm Adetsumbi Akinyemi. I'm from University of Ibadan, Department of Science and Technology Education.
Okay, and I have another participant.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Dr. Adejoke Akinyele from the University of Ibadan, from the Department of Forest Production and Products.
Okay, so we have two participants from University of Ibadan, and I'm going to ask them, is this your first training session under the PedaL by PASGA?
Yes, please.
Okay, and Madam?
The same thing for me too. It's the first time.
So what new things are you learning here under this training program?
Yeah, one of the first new things I'm learning is the technology and enhance the learning to be used in teaching, and I found it very, very interesting and instructive, something that could be inculcated into my teaching in the university.
Do you have a similar thing happening in your university now? And if you have, how different is this from that?
The university has been organizing such training for the staff at different level. And so, but this is, for some of the participants, this is just an addition to what the knowledge they have. But for some of us, quite a number of things are quite new. Things that we're not used to, that we're just learning now. Yeah.
Okay, Professor, so what new things are you also learning?
My background is educational technology, and I can say that most of the things exposed to us in technology enhanced learning, I have an idea, and I was able to make my own contributions even during the course of the learning.
Now you are learning something new which you are bringing on board to your university. Do you have any timelines that you have set for yourself that at the end of, say, 2019, I should have achieved this in my teaching and learning practice?
Yes, especially in the area of curriculum development. Although, once again, because of my background again, I have an experience also in developing curriculum. So with what I learned today, I was somehow exposed to other things in which I could be able to inculcate into my own curriculum development.
Now, Madam, how will it be easy for you to integrate what you have learned into your teaching practice?
There are some of the things that we have learned that we have to look at the way it will fit into various aspects of the courses that I will be teaching. So after this training, I will look into the course outline of my courses and see the ones that some of the things that we have learned can be introduced into them. And by the time we start the next session, at least gradually, I can begin to introduce them into the courses I take in the university.
Will you need any approval from the University Senate or Academic Board before you integrate this?
There are some things that you don't need the approval of the Senate to be able to do that. Like the introduction of role play, using simulation in teaching. You don't need to have any permission from the Senate to do that. But if you have the issue of curriculum development, that cannot be done on an individual basis. It has to have the approval of the university before that there could be any change in the curriculum. But for University of Ibadan, curriculum review is done every 5 years. So there are some things that by the time we're going to have the next curriculum review, such things could be introduced to them.
Okay.
And also, to add to what she has said, University of Ibadan here, you are encouraged to use technology for your teaching and learning process. So, as a postgraduate teacher, you can have an hybrid teaching, face-to-face teaching and technology. So, here in University of Ibadan, I think technology enhancements is already on ground.
You may have met several people from other institutions. How effectively have you networked with them?
Yes, like asking them for their names. For example, asking like in my area of studying, in my department, I have someone. What other things I can also inculcate into my own courses?
Now you are trainers who may possibly train other people in your faculty. How easy will it be for you to convince your vice chancellors that you need to train on the PedaL modules?
University of Ibadan is a progressive university, and I'm sure that for UI to even be the first to welcome PedaL into the country among other universities who are also involved. I know my university is very much in support of this, and it will not be a difficult thing to persuade the university to also organize such programs for other postgraduate teachers in the school.
So the final word, what assistance will you need from PASGA should you organize a PedaL workshop in your university?
Yes, maybe advancement courses can also be introduced.
And anything, maybe you may need resource persons, you may need funding.
Resource persons, at least we could need one or two support from PedaL when we want to organize such. It could also be in the place of facilities, and funding to be able to have a successful training of trainers.
Okay, thank you very much for availing time to talk to AAU TV. We wish you the best in the coming days.
I'm Dr. Khalid Adekoya. I'm an associate professor of genetics in the Department of Cell Biology and Genetics, University of Lagos, Nigeria.
Okay, thank you, Doc. Doc, is this your first pedagogical leadership training organized by PASGA?
Yeah, this is my first pedagogical training by PASGA.
Okay. What is new in this training program from others that you might have already attended?
Well, one thing that it stands out is highly comprehensive. It includes a lot of sessions, a lot of resource persons who really know what they are doing, and they carry a lot of participants along. So the beats, the way the plan and the lectures and interactions has been done gives a lot of robust way in which one can tackle the problems of delivery when one is left alone.
Okay. So when you go back to University of Lagos and you want to introduce PedaL teaching or learning approach, how easy will it be for you to convince your Vice Chancellor to do this?
Well, Unilag, that's my school, already have some of the e-learning, the technological advanced learning in place. For example, the LMS, the Learning Management Systems, the Moodle is already being used. We have also been opportune to be trained under the World Bank teaching us e-learning using PBWorks, although it has not been general. And I think with what I have learned here, some of them simulation techniques, the role plays that was also added, and some other design of curriculum methodology which I also acquired, I will be able to feedback in the system, and I'll also be able to use. I lead a lot of teams, the lecturers teams in some areas of teaching in my department, and good enough, I was the former sub-dean of the postgraduate school, and I'm also on the board of the postgraduate school, which I know I'll be able to influence some things. And to add to that, my dean, the dean of school of postgraduate studies, Professor Akimboye, who was here yesterday, is also very instructive. It's a part of PASGA. Okay. And there is a program in Unilag, MRPP, postgraduate program on PASGA, okay, which is also very useful. So we will be able to incorporate these methods and these ideas together, okay, in Unilag.
Earlier on, you said that the program is very robust, and I know there are several resource persons here and several participants. How effectively have you networked with them?
Well, I have done a lot of network. I have been able to relate with Simon. I've been able to relate with Tiberius. I've been able to relate with some of our members from University of Ibadan who have the same area of research with me, and we have started some discussion on collaboration.
Okay. It's good to know that you started some discussion. Assuming you want to organize a training session like this at Unilag, what assistance will you need from PASGA?
Firstly, we will need the resource persons to be able to assist us. We'll also need some funds in line with that, and collaboration in being able to put whatever is to be learned. I noticed that we have been asked to upload some of the information, which I will definitely do, and I also continue to interact with PedaL and PASGA as time goes on how we can actually incorporate this in more universities in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Doc, for granting us this interview. Hello, welcome to University of Ibadan, where AAU is covering the Pedagogical Leadership in Africa workshop live from here, and it is being sponsored by PASGA in Kenya. And I'm privileged to have with me a participant who wants to share his learning experiences from this training workshop. Sir, can you introduce yourself and where you are coming from, your institution and your country?
Okay, I'm Dr. Emmanuel Ajebuatin. I'm coming from University of Ghana.
Yes, what do you do at the University of Ghana?
I'm a lecturer in the Department of Educational Studies and Leadership.
Okay, so this even falls in line with what you do at the university. Yeah. So what new thing have you learned here that is not being introduced at the University of Ghana?
Okay, actually, let me put things in context. I'm not a participant, I'm a facilitator. Okay. And I've been with this program since its inception. Right. We developed the curriculum, we did the piloting, and so I'm familiar with the program, but I believe this is the best way to go, since most of university lecturers are not professional teachers, okay, and the focus of university work has been on scholarship of writing in terms of research, but most lecturers do teaching, okay, as a major part of their work. So it is important that we need to give attention to scholarship of teaching, And for me, as a teacher educationist, I think this is the right way to go. And I've learned a lot from this program since the time I've joined them in terms of new ideas of teaching university students.
Now here we have a lot of participants from various institutions as well as a lot of resource persons. How do you see PASGA moving forward with such a huge resource base in order to impact Africa?
I believe that PASGA is for development of Africa, because the sustainable way of developing a country and a continent is to use education as a strategic tool. And if you want to use education as a strategic tool to develop country and its people, then you must focus attention on the teachers. Because you can't eat your cake and have it. If you want to talk about development in education, first focus on teachers. So any investment in teacher development is connected with development of a nation. When you get the teachers right, the rest will be easy. So given the fact that majority of university teachers are not professional teachers, and the fact that PASGA has come in to support university education by training university teachers with pedagogical skills, I think it's the right way to support development in Africa. And what PASGA is doing is awesome, and we all need to support them.
Okay, in teaching teachers how to teach, we normally draw from best practices. One unique thing that I realized from this workshop is that there are no non-African facilitators. What is the secret behind this?
Yes, I think this is what is important about what we are doing, is utilizing the collective resource in Africa to transform Africa through teaching at a higher education level. I guess we have a lot of ideas in literature about how to teach and how to support students' learning. And the best part of what we are doing is using the resources in Africa, the intellectuals in Africa, bringing them together to design something which is in line with the national best practice, but which is also related to the context of Africa. Okay. So if you check what Baba is doing, infusing African indigenous epistemology into the teaching of philosophy in Africa. So in a way, we are trying to change Africa, but we are changing Africa through the African way of doing things in a way that will bring development that is context specific.
Okay. Now, this is, to me, is a pilot, unless you have an otherwise view. This is a pilot training. How are you scaling up this training so that it reaches all the corners of Africa?
Good. I guess in the initial stages, they train all of us in Kenya. And from there, they went to Uganda for the first form of the cascading training. And now they are in West Africa and Nigeria, to be specific. And from here, in July, August, they are coming to Ghana so that the regional training will be done, and trainer of trainers. We have a lot of trainers in African continent, and now they can now focus on individual countries. So I guess it's going to go far, and they are going to support universities to own the program.
Okay.
What I like about what they are doing is, after this training, they are going to support individual and participating universities to own the program, either as professional development, postgraduate diploma, and even master's level. Whichever form the university will want to take it, PASGA is there to support them. And I guess this is awesome, and we need to support it.
Okay. So how will you measure the success of this training?
For me, for what I saw with the, I'm I have PhD in teacher education, so anything about teachers, teacher education, teacher development, I'm for it. So the moment we went to Nairobi, Kenya, and I realized they were not talking about research, they were not talking about community service, but for the first time, they are talking about pedagogical leadership for university teachers, teaching graduate program. I think for me, that was the moment I saw this is successful. And this is going to be more successful. It's going to change the teaching of Africa. It's going to make the scholarship of teaching as one of the most important ingredients in university education. You know, universities focus more attention in terms of donation and funds for research. But we forget that the most important part of the university education is the teaching we do. If you do research, it should feed into the teaching. So what is important is the change we can make with teaching. Okay. But if we cannot support university teachers about how to teach the students, then we are making a mistake. Okay. And I think this is a wonderful idea, and it will go a long way to change Africa. Yeah.
So what would be your final words to universities that have not yet embraced this new pedagogical way of teaching, or those that are yet to join the PedaL network?
What I know is that the universities that are not part of this program are losing something, huge opportunity. Because after here, the universities can own it, set up centers or fuse it into their already existing structures and still get support from PedaL to train their teachers. So what we have to do, or what PedaL has to do, is to popularize, or the AAU, for example, can take this up and broadcast the good thing that is happening in the higher education front in Africa, then get so many universities on board. What I know is PedaL is ready to expand the support to any university that is willing to participate in this program. If we do not do this, we will lose the opportunity to emphasize on scholarship of teaching in African universities. And African universities, because they are coming from colonial mentality, will always focus on research, community service for promotion and other things, without giving attention to the tools with which the faculty members will need to deliver teaching.
On that note, thank you very much, Dr. Ejay Boateng, for granting us this interview, and we are wishing you the best in the organization of the next PedaL workshop in Ghana.